Well, thanks so much for being here,
Of course.
sharing your story with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about AppDynamics and the challenges you guys were facing?
Sure. So AppDynamics is an application performance monitoring company. We got bought by Cisco roughly 2.5 years ago, I think. So we're all about storing metrics and status of your apps, giving you a flow of how data is going around. And we've got a unique setup where we have a SaaS environment, but also on-prem. So we work with some of the largest banks in the world, and they're obviously more on-prem. They haven't adopted cloud as much. But then we've got some of the biggest entertainment companies that are all cloud. And so as we've gone from a monolith to microservices and this transition from on-prem to cloud, we had a lot of challenges around how do we do that, how do we have discoverable APIs, how do we manage the traffic inbound, how do we secure all that data because we're storing data from hundreds of thousands of customers. So we wanted to make sure that we knew exactly where our data was and where it's staying.
And just to understand, what is the scale of traffic you guys are processing today?
Yeah, so AppDynamics has a concept of agents, right? So we install agents within applications and servers. We've got millions of those coming into our SaaS environment. And they're talking every 15 to 30 seconds, getting config information and other things. And then we have metrics coming in. And metrics coming in is roughly, I believe, around 300 to 350, 100 million metrics a minute. So it's pretty large volume, not to mention the UI traffic and everything else. It's pretty fast-paced, and it comes in really big spurts because basically our agent will queue things up for about a minute, and then they all spit everything out. So we do get really large spikes at times. So it's pretty interesting scale problems.
And what was the main driver then for the adoption of Kong?
Yeah, so like I said, we were a monolith. That's kind of how it was done 10 years ago when AppD started. And as we broke apart the monolith into microservices, we really needed a way to understand the services that we were building and understand where traffic was coming in and how to route it, SSL termination, all that kind of stuff. I've previously done that at PayPal, and I knew coming in that we didn't want to build something like that. We built it at PayPal, and honestly, it was probably one of the biggest mistakes we made, trying to do it on our own. And you and I have known each other for a long time. And so I reached out to you guys and wanted you to come in and kind of educate the team on what you're building and why it was such a powerful tool for us. And we could talk about all the kind of technical reasons for doing it, but the discoverability alone is incredibly important for us. And we can use the same solution whether it's on-prem or whether it's on SaaS.
Yeah, by the way, me and Ty have been knowing each other for what, almost a decade now?
Yeah, we're getting old.
Yeah, I know. So back in 2011, when I was running Mashape, the API marketplace, we were like, we just came to the United States from Italy, and we were going through co-working spaces.
Yep.
And Ty had this startup, StackMob.
Yep.
And they had some space available in their office, and we worked there for a few months. And so that's how I got to know Ty. And then a few months ago, Danny from Kong was telling me, hey, we're working at this pretty exciting use case at AppDynamics. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, and we're working with this guy, Ty. I'm like, no way. So it's a pretty small world, huh?
Yeah, it's been fun to reconnect for sure.
Yeah.
Those dinners we used to have were pretty fun.
Yeah, that's, oh yeah. So we talk a lot about transitioning technology from monolith to microservices. But how does the organization have to change to support this new way of building software? Because it's not just technology, it's also the people, the operations, and how does that change, especially in the specific case of AppDynamics?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the tougher thing is the culture change. Again, monolith kind of equals waterfall. And breaking out of that waterfall world, especially in the enterprise software, and moving to agile and moving to smaller teams and teams actually owning services and data, and not all trying to come in and compete in this monolith of, honestly, a little bit of spaghetti code because it's a monolith. You have to admit it. We've all done it. And so owning those services and picking up the speed and talking to them about, it's okay to fail, but fail fast. And so let's get things out faster. Let's not do these 6-month releases. Let's get down to 6 weeks and then 3 weeks and then a week, and then the goal is to get every day. But it's a massive cultural shift. People are so used to doing it one way or another, and to kind of switch that and turn it on their head, it takes a little while to get used to that. So technology is the easier part, but the culture changes is the big problem.
These massive changes obviously do not happen overnight.
Yep.
Right? So how do you plan for them, and how long did it take for you guys to make this transition?
So I would say we're not done yet, first of all. I've seen it done at really large companies. We did it at PayPal. We're doing it at AppDynamics. And honestly, all of our customers are. Even the banks are starting to do that, which tells me we've finally hit that escape velocity with that, because the banks are usually the slowest to move. But it's a lot of education. It's bringing in agile coaches, and it's teaching these enterprise developers who are used to getting very prescriptive use cases and requirement documents and all this stuff that you do with planning for enterprise, and getting them more empowered to make their own decisions, and making less of the design decisions up front, and iterating quickly. And so it's a multi-year process, right? Breaking apart a monolith, getting the change out there. And again, we have a semi-unique situation because we ship our software. So it takes our customers a really long time to upgrade to new versions. Again, banks, telcos, they're deploying maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So we have to support our different versions of our software for 18 to 24 months. So it's a very long transition to this, and I would say we're probably about halfway there. But it's a fun, exciting way to kind of change and disrupt the company.
What is one thing that stands out that you guys have done right in this transition, and what is one thing that stands out as being a big mistake?
I'm going to say the same answer for both questions, and I'll explain why. One, I think in the very beginning we sprinted and didn't talk about the foundation changes that need to happen within your services and foundational services like Kong and service meshes and things like that. We kind of sprinted to just doing services, and then we said, oh crap, how do we do logging? How do we do API gateways? How do we do secrets in this new world? So we made that mistake very early on, but I think one of the best things that we did was we realized it, and we kind of pushed pause, and we went back. And we said, okay, we're making a mistake. Let's admit that we're making a mistake. Let's learn from it. Let's iterate quickly. And now we've gone back and said, okay, here's how we're going to do secrets. Here's how we're doing our API gateway. We're partnering with Kong. Here's how we're doing our service meshes. Here's how we're doing our deployments. And here's how we're doing our deployments on-prem and in SaaS. Because on-prem, we can't run anything as root. So Kubernetes and all the fun stuff that we get to do in the cloud isn't an option for us on-prem. So it's finding these platforms in these situations where we can adapt and abstract away from these platforms. And so our developers don't have as big of a problem developing for on-prem versus SaaS in the microservices world.
What trends are you excited about in the industry?
I think the biggest one is this digital transformation. And if you know anything about AppDynamics, we talk a lot about how we're agents of transformation. But our monitoring of applications is much more than just talking about metrics and speed. It's how do these legacy huge enterprises start coming up to where the startups have been for a while, right? And how do we transform them as a company and get them thinking about digital, thinking about cloud, thinking about hybrid, and honestly, cross-cloud. So it's a really fun time, I think, to talk to these huge banks that have scale that most of us don't actually comprehend in terms of the money that's flowing through the systems, and talk to them about how are they updating and how are they becoming more relevant and moving away from the mainframes and bare metal machines, and how are they moving to Kubernetes or OpenShift or whatever they're moving to internally, and how can we help them? And so AppDynamics is in a really interesting position, I think, because we're there, we've got their applications instrumented, but then they're coming to us and being like, how do we do this? How do we transform to a digital company? How do we transform and act more like a startup? So as one of the main architects, I get to have all these fun conversations with them of their massive systems and how they're transforming to be more cloud and be more agile. So that's pretty fun for me, and I think it's going to unlock, and we're starting to see it with some banks, but a lot more user-friendly and better interactions with some of these legacy companies that, honestly, their customer service and their interaction with their end customers has been lagging.
When you work with your customers,
yep.
And they're going through this massive transformation,
yes.
Is the leadership aligned with the technology decision makers, or do you see misalignment when you're seeing these transformations happening?
It's all across the board. You do see some bigger companies where the executives are more trusting of the technology leaders, but a lot of times we do find that there's technologists that are trying to do something, and one of their questions is how do I convince my so-and-so boss, or how do I convince the person above me that this is the right thing to do? And a lot of times we can use our metrics and our flow map and kind of explain to them things that are easy and safe to move and would be a greater performance, and talk about, honestly, our journey and how it's made their lives easier and better, and we've helped their careers, in all honesty. And once they kind of understand that impact, they have a better story for their execs and a better alignment.
It's all about creating that confidence that this is the right journey, right? For the leadership as well.
Right, because, at a large enterprise like that, you're putting your neck on the line a little bit, right? You're basing your career on this transition. And if you succeed, you're going to be rewarded, and you're going to be promoted, and you're going to get your dream job. If you fail, that's not so much fun. So they are definitely putting their necks on the line a little bit. But we've seen a lot of our customers really grow within their companies and being that agent of transformation.
Thank you so much, Ty.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Thank you.